President Biden's border crisis taking a toll across the country with a series of migrant arrests in high-profile cases. Just this week, an ICE source confirmed a DUI suspect in Albuquerque entered the U.S. illegally. He is now accused of running a red light and killing a 22-year-old man. And here in New York City, ICE arrested an MS-13 gang member wanted for murder in El Salvador. Authorities say he also crossed into the U.S. illegally. And we are getting new heinous details in the Houston murder of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungare, as her family confirms Jocelyn was indeed sexually assaulted before being killed. The two suspects, by the way, also illegal immigrants. Republicans warn this sort of crime could happen anywhere.
We're seeing so many angel families now popping up and being created. Angel families being folks that are victims of crimes committed by illegals around the country. And there's more to come. If people think that this is it, it's one and done, they are sadly mistaken. This is happening in every single community around the country. Every state, every town in America is a border town, thanks to Joe Biden.
Joining us now is New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, member of the House Ways and Means Committee. When I interviewed Kat Cammack yesterday, she just made such a great point that we just re-aired there in the fact that every single town is a border town in this country. Now, remember, if you were to back up, and obviously the border patrol crisis has actually been an issue for over decades, but every border town is in New York City, is in Texas, not only Texas and Arizona, but in Los Angeles. Because why? This administration has opened our borders and they've been allowed to just spread all over the country freely. And therefore now these democratic cities are paying the price.
Exactly. And what's equally as bad, Julia, is the states like New York, which have laws like the green light law, which actually gives licenses to illegal immigrants and also a special status so that our police cannot share with ICE, with other Customs and Border Protection agents as to the status of these people. It's exactly why Laken Riley was murdered, because New York City police had to let the murderer go, even though they had suspected that he had ties to a gang, illegal gang. He also had ties to crimes, and they had to let him go, and he went and killed Laken Riley, an innocent student down in Georgia. That's why every state is a border state, and I represent the northern border of New York State. 85% of the people on the terror watch list, according to the Border Patrol, is coming across the northern border because New York's laws are so lenient, and because New York State does not impose any restrictions on these people. And you end up having the cartels saying, "Oh, this is a better option. Let's go to New York and get closer to New York City, where they can pretty much live, without unanimity, without anyone finding out who they are. They can just kind of go into the seams and nobody finds them." And this is a real problem. And it's not just New York City. It is everywhere. It's upstate New York. We just had a horrible tragedy in Albany, another killing by illegal immigrants. We've had, all kinds of, we're seeing rapes and murders and the worst kind of crimes against children, which I can't think of anything worse at this point.
And these are repeat offenders. And the reason they're repeat offenders is because our law enforcement isn't allowed to keep them in jail. So they're actually going out, they're committing these crimes, spending a couple hours behind bars, being let out on nothing for bail, and then reoffending. I mean, this is like the land of the free for criminals. And you can just come to the United States and commit crimes, not pay and not do the time. And there's no accountability whatsoever. Although the administration is now, believe it or not, after all of that, okay, I mean, now in the final year of his administration, doing a victory lap. Saying that after 3 weeks, President Biden's border executive action appears to be working. Okay, so June numbers did hit a 3-year low. But what about the millions here already, including, these gang members that are reoccurring and killing and maiming and murdering and attacking children? I mean, what are they doing about that?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the gang members, the murders, rape. These people are coming across. Remember, President Trump famously said that they're not sending their best. They're sending everyone they can. And it's not them. It's not the countries that are doing this. It is the cartels. They are finding a way to human traffic people and murderers, and anyone who wants to come to our country get to come in. And we're so overstressing the system. The Customs and Border agents do not have the resources to keep our border safe. And that's what you're seeing. ICE, they can't control it. All we needed to do was to, at least at the very minimum, is go back to remain in Mexico, and stop catch and release. Two things that President Trump did that did the most to secure our border. Two things that Joe Biden erased on day one. And that's why you're seeing this record number of people coming across. And Julia, it is terrible, not just from a security standpoint. The cost is unbelievable, hundreds of billions of dollars across the nation. And now we're seeing billions of dollars to New York taxpayers alone to take care of illegal immigrants, and whether it's their housing, everything. It's just not prioritizing American citizens and people here lawfully. And the other thing is we have millions of people waiting to come here lawfully. Why are we allowing these people to come here and be trafficked? Why are we allowing the gangs to actually have operational control of our border? We aren't a country if we don't have sovereignty and can't protect us. And here we are on Independence Day. In order to be independent, we have to have our border secure.
Here we have Americans who are having a hard time putting food on their table. We've got inflation. We've got mortgage interest rates rising. People are unable to pay for their homes, but yet they come in. Not only do they commit crimes, but they get free housing in very expensive cities such as New York. There's also a surge in illegal crossings, like you just touched upon, along our northern border. According to a new report, border officials have arrested 3,300 illegal crossers in the month of June alone. That is up 420% over last year. I'd like to see the Biden administration do a victory lap around that number.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. That number is actually up. It was about 330% just a few months ago, and now it's continuing to rise because guess what? New York State encourages this. You can come across as I said, under the green light law. You come across the border. The police can't do anything. They can't even call up and ask, ICE, who is this guy? We suspect a person. They've got a car full of drugs or a car full of young children that don't look like their own children. What do we do? And we have to wait for an ICE agent under the detainer law to come and get them. And we're allowing these people into our communities. And I see people in they're a little bit outside of my district. I go all the way up into the St. Lawrence Seaway, way up in the northern sector of New York. But I have people have been sending me, video footage from their Ring spotlights and from their trail cams showing people just walking across the border in northern New York. It's very scary. It's very expensive. And this is just incredible that Kathy Hochul, our governor, doesn't do anything. Joe Biden does nothing. And by the way, guess what Kathy Hochul did yesterday? Went down and stood there behind Joe Biden and said, "You got to run. You're doing a great job, Joe. What a wonderful job you're doing for our country." From one of the worst governors in the entire nation to the worst president that I can think of in the modern era, let alone maybe forever. They are destroying our country, and we have got to stop this. It's really just scares me. And honestly, I would got to tell you, I just walked in a parade. I'm a little hot today. It's 85 degrees and sunny, beautiful day, with a 102-year-old World War veteran. He walked in the parade with me.
Wow.
Okay, this guy is amazing. He sacrificed for our country. He served. So many others have died for our country, and for us to have this special day that our founders, created and stood up for something. Now is the time that we need to protect our sovereignty. We need to protect our self-governance. This is a day we can start doing this, and I just don't see it happening with this administration or with the governor of the state of New York or Gavin Newsom, by the way, who looks to be maybe one of those people vying to take the top spot in our country.
Oh, right. But then he just came out and said, no, I'm getting behind the president because he says he's in it, so I'm in it for Biden. Anyway, all right. Well, that was very well said. Thank you so much for sharing that sentiment. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
That's awesome. Congresswoman Tenney, thank you so much for joining us. Happy 4th.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.